Morning, Chris. How are you?
Morning, Joe. Welcome back. Isn't it good?
It's very nice. We both were on holiday last week.
We were on holiday last week, and I was getting fit and well, which I am now.
Good. Recovered from COVID.
All back fighting fit and whatever else we have to say.
Excellent. I'm pleased to hear it.
Did take a little while, but we're there. So welcome back, dear viewer.
Good. Well, we missed you.
Break today.
Yes. Well, it's good. It's exciting. It's been good. Did you have a nice time away?
Yes, went to the Saul family.
Lovely.
And son number 2 got engaged last week, so that's good news.
That's very good news.
And son number 1's wife is about to have birth in 6 weeks or so.
Oh, it's all good exciting.
New life
grandchildren and everything.
Yeah.
Lovely. Excellent. And you learned how to play Pac-Man in the playground yesterday.
I learned how to play playground Pac-Man yesterday. I sort of had my arm twisted and all the children picked on me.
Oh, did they?
No, it was fun. It was great fun. It was great fun.
That sounds great fun.
When you got your reverend running around the playground, what are the children going to want to do?
Laugh.
Make me run around these lines and avoid the blockers.
Oh, sounds great fun. In my family, I'm the butt of all jokes. I'm the mocked one. In fact, my daughter even said to me, she said goodnight to me. She said last night, she said, "We do mock you, but we do love you." Okay, that's fine then. So David is on annual leave this week, planting sunflowers, according to Facebook last night. So hopefully having a good time, resting and recovering from Easter.
According to Facebook, he would only plant sunflowers if there was a competition involved.
Yes. I think there's an element of a competitive nature from the team rector of Beaminster.
No comment.
We'll just leave that there.
We'll leave that one there.
It's me. No, not competitive at all, me.
Oh, no.
That's a lie too. Anyway, we've decided that we're going to do the Acts reading today, which is, it's funny, isn't it? In the Sundays after Easter, we have compulsory readings from the Acts of the Apostles, which I've always thought is a bit odd, really, because we're still doing all the resurrection stories from the Gospel, which I love, but then we're way ahead into the early church, aren't we? Do you think it's getting us ready for Pentecost and reminding us what they did?
Well, I suppose you're looking back a bit and we're looking forwards. And yeah, it is a bit strange, but we've got a good one today. We
have. So it's it's the road to Damascus, not the road to Emmaus, which I got muddled with.
You did get muddled. And as we've already moved on to our readings with very little...
no banter.
No banter, no introductions.
Just crack on with the
This is what happens when Team Rector goes on holiday.
Absolutely. We're brief
get on
to the point. We better have a pause then. Go for it.
Acts chapter 9, beginning at the first verse. Meanwhile, Saul was breathing threats and murder against the disciples of the Lord, and went to the high priest and asked him for letters to the synagogues at Damascus, so that if he found any who belonged to the way, men or women, he might bring them bound to Jerusalem. Now, as he was going along and approaching Damascus, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" He asked, "Who are you, Lord?" The reply came, "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. But get up and enter the city, and you will be told what you are to do." The men who were traveling with him stood speechless because they heard the voice, but saw no one. Saul got up from the ground, and though his eyes were open, he could see nothing. So they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus. For 3 days he was without sight and neither ate nor drank. Now there was a disciple in Damascus named Ananias. The Lord said to him in a vision, "Ananias." He answered, "Here I am, Lord." The Lord said to him, "Get up and go to the street called Straight, and at the house of Judas look for a man of Tarsus named Saul. At this moment he is praying. And he has seen in a vision a man named Ananias come in and lay his hands on him, so that he might regain his sight." But Ananias answered, "Lord, I've heard from many about this man, how much evil he has done to your saints in Jerusalem. And here he has authority from the chief priests to bind all who invoke your name." But the Lord said to him, "Go, for he is an instrument whom I have chosen to bring my name before Gentiles and kings and before the people of Israel. I myself will show him how much he must suffer for the sake of my name." So Ananias went and entered the house. He laid his hands on Saul and said, "Brother Saul, the Lord Jesus, who appeared to you on your way here, has sent me so that you may regain your sight and be filled with the Holy Spirit." And immediately something like scales fell from his eyes, and his sight was restored. Then he got up and was baptized, and after taking some food, he regained his strength. For several days he was with the disciples in Damascus, and immediately he began to proclaim Jesus in the synagogue, saying, "He is the Son of God."
Wow. It's quite a story, isn't it?
That's quite a story. I think my hero, every time I read it, is Ananias.
Absolutely. Really brave.
Ananias, this guy's coming to kill you. I've chosen him. You go and lay your hands on him.
What?
No, not me.
He's not. Thanks.
What a hero.
I know. Go, yeah. I like it when people talk back to God as well, because Ananias is going, "But Lord, I've heard how awful this man is. Why would you send me?" And God goes, "Well, that's what I've called you to do." And he's all right. Okay. All right then, I will. Yeah. This road to Damascus, not Emmaus, is for me completely summed up in a picture that we had in a children's Bible when I was young at Sunday school, which was this picture of Paul, who to my mind looked quite a lot like a Roman soldier, but obviously he can't have been, and is fallen on the ground by his horse, you see. So I have always thought that he fell off his horse on the road to Damascus. But as you rightly pointed out, there's no mention of a horse. But for me, the image is always Paul in a crumpled heap on the floor with this blinding light from heaven coming and his horse just standing there. So who knows?
But he might well have been on a horse.
He may well have been on a horse. But
Jerusalem to Damascus is quite a walk.
Yes. Yeah. He probably did have a horse. But there we are. I think it's very fascinating how particularly horrible he is before. He's not just slightly horrid. He's like proper, seeking out people to kill them.
And getting legal approval for it.
Absolutely.
Give me a bit of paper so I can find any man or woman who follow the way, as it was called in this passage.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't say kill them, does it? It just says bring them bound to Jerusalem.
True, although the first line does say still breathing threats and murder.
Yes.
So I don't think yes, but you're right. It doesn't actually accuse him of that. But yeah, he's a particularly evil character.
Then he goes from one extreme to the other, doesn't he?
He does. Becomes
Yeah.
particularly zealous. Well, he was zealous. He was always zealous, either in his persecution of Christians or in his way of bringing other people to faith. He was an energetic man committed to a cause. Happened to turn around and
change. Well, you could say change allegiance, or after seeing a blinding light, which leads us on to the subject of what's our blinding lights. What motivates us? What makes us say, "I'm going to follow Jesus"?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Is it yesterday in school assembly? I asked the children who's enthusiastic about Jesus at Easter rising from the dead and how exciting it was and stuff. And they all basically said, yeah, but you're a priest, so you would be.
Yeah. I do find faith exciting, though. That's definitely something I do. And I remember I've never had a blinding light moment in the sense of literally being struck on the ground with light. But there have been definite moments in my life where I have felt either I've felt like I've understood God a bit more, there's been some kind of revelation, or a very a feeling of closeness to something I can't quite name or understand. And I was thinking about it actually, because we have in the Beaminster Team, we have this service at 6:00 in the morning on Easter Day, where we light the Paschal candle outside in the bonfire, and we take the light into church. And I saw wonderful pictures of your similar service. You had all the Paschal candles for all your team, didn't you?
I did.
And you were sending them out, which is just brilliant. That's such a good idea. And I remember as a child, I may have told this story before, our church was very Anglo-Catholic. So over the course of the Easter, Holy Week and Easter, observed all rituals and everything. And they also had a 5 a.m. bonfire service. And I wanted to go as a child. And I remember my mum took me once. And then I think she said the next year, if you want to go, you can go, but I'm not getting up this time. So I did. I got myself up. I don't know how old I was, probably early sort of preteen, like 12, 13 kind of age. I got myself up, walked the mile to church in the dark with a torch, and went on my own to the 5 a.m. service because it was so wonderful. And I can still remember the journey of going, and then the glory of the fire. The fire really intrigued me, of being drawn to that big bonfire. And then processing in with the Paschal candle. And then I still remember the preacher showing the Paschal candle as part of their sermon and saying, this is a moment that stopped time. The resurrection of Jesus was a moment driven into the passage of time that changed time. And, the calendar dates back to, allegedly back to Jesus' birth. But, he was making that point that God's intervention in the world through the resurrection of Jesus Christ transformed so much. I can still remember that. Quite a number of years later. So, yeah, I definitely do have those moments of revelation. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, I mean, we need these moments, don't we, to remind us. I mean, I had a moment. I used to go on a lot of summer camps as a teenager, Christian camps, and that's where I decided that I had the experience there in a tent marquee singing praises to God with the guitars and things, as you do when you're teenagers. And there are just this overwhelming love of God. And I can almost put a date on that, 27th of July, 1983.
Well, that's not almost. That's 100% a date.
Yeah, he says, I'm thinking, did I get that year right? So I can actually put a date and a time on it, and that's when I decided I was going to follow Jesus.
Yeah.
And so far, that journey's brought me to here, and who knows what's going to happen next. But you hold on. There's been various other points of things that I've done. And then I think, especially in the times when, well, should I call it the slough of despond from Pilgrim's Progress? There's times when you really think, is all this real? Is it right? Am I making it up? I don't really feel very holy at the moment. And those times, actually going back to the dramatic times, it carries you through it.
Yeah, definitely. Sustains us and reminds us that,
I sometimes think, maybe I should and shouldn't say it, but I will. I remember when I was 17, I went somewhere and the preacher said, hands up everybody who's read the entire Bible. And of course, very few people did.
Yeah.
So I went home and I read the Bible in 9 months.
Wow.
It was quite a challenge. Problem is, I started at Genesis, ended at Revelation, which is never a good plan.
No, it's hard work that way.
But also, when I finished, I've done that. And actually, I never picked my Bible up for the next year.
That's interesting.
Which is not really the idea. And for a priest to say, I actually went a year without reading my Bible at all, is not a good idea.
No.
But this was 30 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And I did pick it up again. But you never quite know where the down times are going to come and hit.
No.
But you need these blinding lights to drag you back up again.
Yeah. And I think also the thing that really intrigues me about this story is not only is there this really profound moment of encounter, but there's a huge change as a result. There's a transformation in Saul and he becomes Paul. And there's a whole, name change, life change, person change, devotion change, faith change. Yeah, everything's changed, hasn't it? And I think we follow a God of second chances, and there's always the potential for a new beginning. Always.
There is, and I'm glad you said that, because it's taken us back onto a positive note, because it was almost getting sad. We're on the excitement of Easter.
Yeah.
The whole point of Easter story, the whole point of Christianity is Jesus died on Good Friday, but rose again on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we worship a risen Christ. We worship new life.
Yeah.
We can take funerals because there's life after death. Whatever goes on in this world, all the horrors that go on, there is new life. There's excitement. There's positivity. I think Christianity is one of the best, most positive messages we could have.
Absolutely. Yeah, I share it 100%. I was watching a documentary last night about colorism, about racism and colorism, and about the shade of your skin, and men and women within minority communities who are shamed for how dark their skin might be, and the idea that a lighter skin is held up as something to be valued, and people who skin bleach, and it was just terrible and awful, and this systemic racism that is within society and has to be rooted out and changed. But there was a lot to talk about shame, about the shame of doing things or making choices, and I just was kind of shouting at the telly inwardly, going, yeah, we do feel shame about things we've done or things we've said or opportunities that we missed and things like that. But there's always another chance. There's always redemption. There's always, you don't have to be defined by the stuff that has caused shame or embarrassment or fear or sadness. And there is always the opportunity for another beginning and a new beginning and a new life. And you don't have to be defined by what's gone on in the past. And this is the ultimate story of not being defined by the shame of the awful life that he lived before, but being completely converted and turned around and facing a new way and doing a new thing.
Which is a message of hope to each and every one of us.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Personally, don't have to be defined by what's gone before, because there's always the potential for something new.
And it would be difficult to be as bad as Paul, or as bad as Saul was.
That's true.
Before his blinding light.
Yeah, very true.
And God turned him around. So God can turn you around.
Yeah. And he loved him. He loved him even when he was horrid,
Yes, he does.
you know. And so, you know, to know that we are loved by God is just hugely important. There we are.
What more can we say?
Nothing. We'll leave it there.
We'll leave it there. To be loved by God, there is nothing more important.
No? Well, there we are. We'll have a good day.
And you.
Thank you.
Dear viewer.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for joining us. You can join us wherever you join us from. So YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, our websites, Egdon and Comers Benefice, Beaminster Area Team. It's lovely to see you. And we'll see you again next week. I think it will be all three of us. Maybe. We'll see.
You'll see. Thank you, dear viewer. Bye.
Lovely to see you. Bye.